This is a really, really different video. And it's more for store owners and such. One of my clients a few months ago came to me and was like, look, I'm thinking about doing this Living Social Groupon Scout Mob deal. And like, what do you think? And I was just like, no, don't do it. This is the deal with Living Social, Groupon, Scout Mob. They're great for the customer. They're absolutely wonderful. I use those services all the time. However, as a business, you can take it. You may even get two black eyes if you're not careful. It's about margins and price points. She has a salon and she was going to do a service, and she had something that was predicated, and she was going to do like this $70 deal, and it was going to cost, and this is another thing, all these services take 50% of the deal. So it's like, yeah, 70, you're only getting 35. So you have to understand that. And we just went ahead and crunched the numbers, and what she was doing, I was like, if anything goes wrong, or, and this will happen, people will buy more than one. They'll say, oh, limit to only one. There's so many ways to get around that. So if it's a really good deal, people are going to stock up. So essentially, people do this, businesses, to get new customers. They'll take a a little body blow or whatnot to get a new customer, because you have to pay money for advertising. So it's really not that bad of a deal. But if one customer gets 5, 6, 7, 8 of the deal, you've actually lost money because you're selling your services at a discount. And if they buy that many deals, they never, ever are going to move up to the full retail, because luxuries once tasted become necessities. It's like, I've been getting it for this price for 10 times. Why should I go up? And they'll go somewhere else. So you really have to think about that, because, like I said, they're great for the customer. But if you're a business, let me tell you how to do it. Before you do the Groupon thing or the Scout Mob thing or Living Social, you really sit down and think about what you want to accomplish. There are some businesses that will take that hit on the chin if they can sell, like, say, 1,000 and get 1,000 new customers and retain 200 or 300 of those customers is worth it. But if you're a small business, or if you're a brand new business, you don't need to do this. It sounds good in theory, but you don't need to do this if you have to spend money before you're remunerated from the Groupon cost. Because the thing is, anything can happen. I've been in business a long time, and companies will come out with the best intentions and something to happen. So you may not get that money that you need for your business when you need it. So if you're like kind of like robbing Peter to pay Paul, this thing can actually knock you out of business. So if you're a small business, do this. If you're going to do a Groupon thing, create a new higher margin product or service for the Groupon. Understand, now make it worth the Groupon, but give yourself enough fat, meat, or whatever on the bone, so if things go funky, you're not going under business or you're not underwater. Because a friend of mine who owned a nail shop years ago, she did the Groupon, and I went by to visit her, and she was not happy. Because the thing is, people stockpile, people hold on, and your costs as a business usually do this. So I don't care what you do. It's like, even if everything's fine, it comes time to sign that new lease, rent goes up. It's always that battle of trying to manage costs. So if you have someone who buys something, say in January this month, but they have until July to use it, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have two groups of people. People that's going to come in and immediately use it. Then folks are going to hold on to it, then pop it off later. Or in some cases, some people may forget, and you get to keep the money without providing the service. That doesn't happen always. But if you do it, give you an example, because this is what we did with her thing. Because we created a new special with something new, highlights and some other stuff. And like normally, I was like, for this whole shebang, it would be like $500 because it was a special package. And she put it up for $250. I mean, she was only going to get $125. But the service and the time and the labor came at about $130, $140. So even if she was getting smacked upside the head, she wasn't going to take a heavy one. It was just more like a glancing blow versus that knockout punch. And it actually did very well. But it was the full shebang. So be real careful if you're thinking about it. And if you offer a product, same thing. you have to look at the margins, because all business is not good business. There are people like, hey, as long as you got people coming through the door, it's a wonderful thing. No, it's not. You can have too many customers and actually go out of business because you can't fulfill those customers. And especially when you're dealing with brick and mortar type business or a service like that, you have tons and tons of cost that just are there, whether you have a sale or not. So you have to be really, really careful. But just think, if you're thinking about doing Living Social, Groupon, Scout Mob, be very careful. Now, I will say there's one thing that's different. If you have a business where you're doing training and you're at the training facilities, it doesn't cost you a lot, it's a different deal, because you're giving your intellectual capital, you're training people, so it's not as hard as, but you're still going to have lease, hosting facility, those costs are still there, but it's not as onerous as if you have a restaurant, a salon, or something like that. And many of these places, they do it and they just play the numbers game, but be really, really careful before doing any one of them. Seriously, crunch the numbers and then wait a week, then crunch them again, because it can be an ugly, ugly thing. And that's just a tip. So for you, the customer, Groupons, all that stuff, there's so many ways to scam it, because I don't do it because I've been in that situation as a business owner that put out a mailer or a coupon, so I know what people are going to do. It's like, you can only get one. This is what's going to happen. Sarah's going to get on the phone. Hey, I see this coupon and it's good. I know, I'll get 4 and I'll gift the other 3 and use all 4. Happens more than you know. And then they'll spread it to their friends, and all their friends will do this, because understand, people are out to get what they can get. And if you put an offer on the site and they can put their credit card in there, and there's a way for them to get 4 or 5 and it's legal, and they're like, hey, I'm giving them more business, it's just a discount. In their mind, they don't really give a damn. For real, they don't care. So be really, really careful before you do it. And then for other businesses that actually crunched the numbers, knew what they were getting themselves into, and they were prepared, it was a beautiful thing. Some companies have made hundreds or thousands to millions of dollars from Groupon Living Social deals, because they were positioned where it worked for them. Everything is not for every business, so you have to be really, really careful about that, about picking the weapons that you're going to take to battle to get that profit. Really, really careful. Just something to think about, because I've gotten that question several times, and like I said, I do a lot of different consulting, not just and because all resale is the same. You have a product, service, whatever. You're trying to sell it to a customer. So I have another group of folks I consult on, and this one I just thought I would bring to YouTube, because the services are very popular. People really like them. Like I said, I'm a member of all of them. Scout Mob, Groupon, Living Social. I get the emails every day, and sometimes there's some really killer stuff there. But from the business side, you have to be really, really careful.